What is up, everybody? We are back. We are actually back. It's been some months. I've been away. Welcome back to Emphasis on Sports. My bad, y'all. Look, man, life happens sometimes. Had a surgery, new job, moved from the north to the south, a whole different view of life, the whole 9 yards. Haven't been able to really touch base with the people, but I'm back. But I am back. And it's good to be back. It's really good to be back. Good to be back talking sports. Big shout out to Northeast Ohio. I had a great time in Cleveland. As usual, everywhere I go, I meet great people, friends that I've had for years, got a lot of new friends, real great sports environment. But now I'm in the panhandle of Florida, probably about an hour and change away from the Florida-Bama state line. Sports has changed. So when I was in Northeast Ohio, we're talking about pro sports. Wasn't really a college town. Columbus was south of us. That's the big Ohio State area. When we're talking about Northeast Ohio, we're talking about Cleveland, we're talking about professional teams. That's what the focus was on. The Browns, the Guardians, the Cavs. Well, now where I'm at, close to Pensacola, close to the Alabama state line, there's not pro teams here. Closest pro team, New Orleans. Here is football, college football, SEC. I'm in SEC country. Florida State, I know it's ACC. That's kind of close, about 4 hours away. But within a good little distance, I got Bama, I got Auburn, I got Mississippi State, I got Ole Miss, I got Georgia, I got LSU. I want to keep going a little bit further through Louisiana. I got Texas. Nothing but SEC teams and FSU close. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the vibe is here. And thus far, most of the people that I've met do have professional sports teams that they love. But if you start talking college, the room changes. The room absolutely changes. I've never met some people from some of the places in Louisiana and Alabama that I never knew people from there. And so talking to them about sports, you really do see the difference in region and what people really like and what people are into. So really looking forward to football season. That's right around the corner. But all right. I think the last time that I posted was right at the end of March, maybe very early April. So got to catch up. A lot of stuff to talk about. This is kind of the getting back in the groove. Let's talk about the things we missed episode. As you see, I got a whole new system behind me, still building that. Uh, Shooting a lot different place than when I was in Ohio. Now, man cave, we're garaging it up. Got a couple things to get. Got a couple TVs here. Got more TVs that need to come into the garage. This is going to be headquarters for my sports life as well as emphasis on sports. Please join me. More and more and more and more and more. Right? All right. So, boom. First thing we missed, we didn't talk about NCAA tournament. Congrats to the young men of Florida winning the whole thing. It was a really good tournament. It really was. I don't have too much bad to say about it. Fun tournament to watch from the viewership side. More and more year after year, I'm really enjoying the tournament more. On the playoff, getting ready for a championship side of all sports. I'm enjoying that more than any of the rest of them because one game at a time is tough. Survive in advance. Word to North Carolina State, Jimmy Valvano, Wolfpack, survive in advance. It's tough, real tough thing to do. It's not as easy as I think people um, may think, because at any moment a game could change. Anything can happen and switch up. And we're going to talk about that with the NBA. Now, the NBA, the thing that we missed that I missed talking about was the playoffs all in all. Now, one thing I'll say about the NBA, SGA, he was the MVP, a very deserving MVP. I'm not going to say that he's not. One of the greatest all-time seasons that any player has ever had. And then turned it up a notch and kept it going through the playoffs. So congrats to you. The NBA looks like it's going to be in good hands moving forward. We're definitely witnessing the changing of the guard. Anybody with a pulse can see that. The guys that we've been watching for the past 15 years, they're on the way out. I mean, Bron's been 20, but Bron, he's on the way out. Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, all of these guys are on their way out. These are the top of the top. Now, there's a lot of other players in the league. There's a lot of people that do great in the league and that have great careers and that may end up being Hall of Famers. But those four dudes right there, that's the top line. That's the top line. There isn't more of them out there. We would love to sit and say Kawhi, James Harden. I love Kawhi. Kawhi's a hell of a ball player, but the injuries have kind of taken him off of that top line. James Harden, the fact that he can't get it done in the playoffs keeps him off of that top line. But the next wave, the next wave is what we're looking at. We're looking at SGA. We're looking at Ant. We're looking at the Thompson twins. We're looking at Paolo Banchero. We're looking at some really good, fresh talent. We know we have those guys that have been in the league for a little bit, but not forever. Giannis, Jokic. We have some of those guys. But man, the new up and comers, love them. Um, I'm really anxious to see what happens with the Dallas Mavericks moving forward. For those of y'all that know, those of y'all that don't, I'm a diehard Dallas Maverick fan. That's who I am. That's what I am. I didn't jump off the boat when we traded Luka. Trades happen every day. It's just something that happens. What is the team going to do to rebound? Now, the rebound from that, lucked up, lucked up. I'm not a big person to believe in conspiracy theories, but this one definitely looked like one. But saying all that to say, ended up going to get Cooper Flag. You know you're not going to have Kyrie for this whole year, but the team that you're putting out there is going to be a highly competitive team. You got D'Lo at the 1, you got Clay at the 2, you got Cooper Flag at the 3, you got Anthony Davis at the 4, and you got Gafford or likely at the 5. I think that's a really good starting 5. Got to see how that bench plays. Whoever whoever's coming off the bench between Gafford and Lively really can mean a lot to that team. And then health is going to be the big. And this year is going to be about seeing what this team could be once you add Kyrie. I expect this team to be in the top 4 to 5 in the West, even though the West is extremely stacked. I expect to be a highly competitive team, and then we'll just see what happens next. Meanwhile, you look at the Clippers. The Clippers, to me, have the best team on paper in the league, but that's on paper. When I was around when all the old guys went to the Lakers after they won 3 in a row, that didn't work out for me. I'm not saying this isn't going to work out for the Clippers, but let's see. Right. So let's talk about the playoffs real quick. So during the playoffs, I lived in Cleveland. I moved here during the finals. And I'm going to tell you, great playoff basketball, exciting playoff basketball. For me, I got the finals matchup that I wanted about the second round. I'll say that's the matchup that I want. It's a good basketball matchup. But I want to give a lot of love to the Pacers and especially Tyrese Halliburton. What Halliburton did during the playoffs is absolutely amazing. It was me. Um, as a sports fan, when you're watching games that don't involve your team, sometimes you can shy away from blowouts. If the team's up 27, 8 minutes left, let me turn this off. What happened this year in the NBA playoffs, especially with Halliburton, he taught me in short order, don't turn my TV off to play if the Pacers are playing. Right. So Pacers Bucks that first round, that really wasn't on. It was on NBA TV. So I didn't really miss anything. That second round though, against against the Cavs, man, I'm gonna tell you, Cavs, what were they up? Like 14 or so with 7 minutes or whatever, however many minutes were left. I'm already tired. I got to get up in the morning, man. Let me turn this TV off. Then I get up in the morning, crack Twitter, having my cup of coffee, and I'm looking. What? The Pacers came back and won that? Damn. Taught me a lesson. Next series against the Knicks. Man, they're looking like they're dead. They're looking like they're dead. Game 1. They're looking like they're dead. What happens? Final minutes of the game. Halliburton comes back, step back, does the choke, ends up going to overtime and they win. But that for a person that grew up in the 80s and 90s watching basketball, that's what I want to see. I want to see you kill it and go ahead and talk trash. It's all right, especially you in New York. You know, everyone's talking trash to you, right? So then you move on to the finals. You go into OKC. Big, big, big platform to play on. Come back, steal a game, had themselves ready to win it all. And then, unfortunately, an injury. These are the things that come with sports. Won't take anything away from the Thunder. The Thunder definitely deserve to be there. Thunder was an outstanding team, but nobody can sit in front of me and tell me that they were head and shoulders above Indiana. Because if Halliburton doesn't get hurt in the fifth game, if he doesn't strain his calf in the fifth game, Pacers might end up being champs. But that was a great series to watch. And then you moved right into free agency and players moving around. You got Kevin Durant to the Rockets. The Rockets were number 2 in the West last year. The Rockets could move to number 1 because at the end of the day, I'm going to take Kevin Durant right now over Jalen Green right now. He's going to make that team better. Definitely. Huge impact. We saw the Magic get better with Desmond Bane. I want to see how he fits with that team. That could be a really smart move, really good move for the Magic. You saw Miles. You saw Miles leave Indiana, gone up to the enemy. Miles went from Indiana to Milwaukee. That's straight enemy talk right there. But you got to do what you have to do. So now that pairing, what does that do with Giannis? Now Giannis has a 5 who I think is better than Brook Lopez to play with. So now let's see what goes on there. We also saw Dame Lillard get cut and go re-sign in Portland. Now, one of my favorite shows that I listen to, one of my favorite podcasts is Club Pod 20. And one thing Jeff T always says is go where you're appreciated, not where you're tolerated. And to me, that's what it looks like Dame did. Nothing wrong with that. Have fun, King. Do your thing. Then we saw the Celtics move some pieces, right? Celtics moves Porzingis. He goes to the Hawks. The Hawks are better. They're a better team than they were last year. And they're going to be a pretty good team this upcoming year. The East is a little more wide open in my eyes. I think the Knicks are going to be really good. But when you look at the top couple teams last year, some of those top couple teams last year, they're not the same. Pacers are without Halliburton all year. They're not going to be that good. The Celtics are without Tatum and they're moving around pieces. They're not going to be what they once were. The Bucks, you lost Dame. You're not going to be what you once were. So what that does is it opens up the gates. This coming year, you're going to have the Cavs, who I think should probably still be number 1 because that team got a little bit better, adding Lonzo Ball. You're going to have the Knicks, I believe, at number 2. And that number 3, 4, I really feel you're going to have Magic or the Atlanta Hawks. You can flip flop, you do whatever you want. I think that's going to be your top 4. But the Pistons are going to be right behind all of that, and they're going to be in the mix, and they're going to stay in the mix. Now, after that, your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 could be a little bit of anybody. It really doesn't. I could see the Bucks sliding in, maybe 6. I don't know. After that, it's a little bit open. The Heat, they're always going to be competitive. They're always going to play pretty strong. But some of these other teams, I just don't know. I don't know if Indiana makes the playoffs this year. It's possible, but when you go ahead and lose Miles Turner and then you don't have Tyrese for the whole season, spooky. A little bit spooky there, right? The West, top to bottom, dynamite. Dynamite. I already mentioned something about the Clippers. When I just talk about the top 8 teams, and I'm not going to go in any order. Some of these teams, I don't know who's the best. You got the Clippers. You got the Lakers. You got Luka, who looks like he's a little more in shape. Bron's out there. Bron's on his way out. We'll see what happens there, right? You got the aforementioned Dallas Mavericks. You got the Nuggets, who got better with their move. You got the Minnesota Timberwolves, who they're still going to be good, fine. They look like a team that's building the way that you saw teams build in the 80s and 90s. That's what Anthony Edwards is reminding me of. When you see a team get progressively further, a little bit at a time, and then they finally win it all. I still haven't mentioned the champs, OKC. OKC is going to be right there. Houston, San Antonio. I get it. Wimby's young, but you got Foxy, you got Castle, you got a really good team. They went and got a really good draft pick with young Harper there. That could be one of those teams. You still have Golden State sitting up. There's some really good teams. Portland and New Orleans. They're really young teams that could scare some people at times. I don't see playoffs for either one of them, but I could see them beating some teams that may have thought they were going to have an easy night. But NBA, sorry I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but it's been great. Been a great watch. Trying to catch up, right? Then we got the WNBA. Now, the WNBA has definitely been cool. I've said it before, and I've said it again. I'm actually a fan of the WNBA. It has nothing to do with any of the players that have come around lately. I've been watching this since 97, since the league, since 96, 97, the league came around. I'm a huge fan of the Olympics, so I've watched women's basketball since I was younger, um, with some of the players, that are absolute legends that never got a chance to touch the WNBA. I've been watching it for that. So when I talk about the WNBA, I'm not pushing or pulling one direction. I'm just talking about the sport. Like that being said, Aja Wilson still to me the best player in the league. Followed very, 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 very close by Nafisa Collier. She there to me, they're A and B, 1, 2, however you want to count it. Those are the best two players in the league. Anyone that wants to call anybody else the best, they just don't watch sports. Caitlin Clark, she's been dealing with some injuries this year. But you've been seeing it's been cool to see a little bit of a different side, some of her personality, especially during All-Star weekend. She couldn't play, but she was one of the quote unquote coaches. Just watching her have fun and interact with the other players is great to see. It really was. Angel Reese. Angel Reese always, you bring up Caitlin Clark, you got to bring up Angel Reese because of their college history, because they came in together, and a lot of people are always going to link them together. She's having a really good year. For all the people that said that she couldn't play, guess you can't really say that now. She's having a really good year. I want everyone should understand you don't walk in and do everything that you used to do. Even Caitlin Clark, she has been able to walk in and do everything that she used to do. The game changes. People look at you different. People dig into you different. People want to put you down because you're the golden child, right? So understand that when we look at especially women's sports, because we don't know. People talk about women's sports, but don't even pay attention to it or don't actually equate it to the rest of the sports, which to me is dumb as hell. The sport is the sport. Now, the best thing about, I'm going to say basketball so far this year, WNBA, NBA, and I'm talking about 2025, was the stud buds at the WNBA All-Star Weekend. That was really cool for me. It wasn't about what a lot of people may think that it was about as far as why I find it cool. I find it cool because we don't get to know these ladies. We just don't. We don't know anything about them. The world wants to show us Caitlin, Angel Reese, and then some highlights of everybody else. Maybe you can get a Kelsey Plum here or there, but I actually want to know how these ladies, what the vibe is. Do they get along? Do they rock with each other? What about the coaches? What about the commission? And that's what the stud buds got to show me. What happens behind the scenes? How do we joke? How do we talk? Do we actually hang out with each other? Can we laugh and smile and all this off of camera? And I saw that emphatically from most of the league, for most of the players that were around. That was real, real cool to see. And I hope the NBA or the WNBA puts a little money on the stud buds and lets them jam a little more because that's cool. Hopefully, I mean, they're in Minnesota. Can we see the stud buds as some sideline reporters for the Timberwolves? That would be cool. That would be cool because they are very much laid back and they're talking to people like they've known them forever. That's good interviewing. That's good vibes. And when you're watching it, you feel that. So shout out to WNBA, shout out to stud buds. Now we talk about baseball. Baseball takes forever. It takes forever. I don't really get into it as much as I used to. I know the Rockies, terrible, god awful team. Now outside of that, Shohei is being Shohei. We know there's been a fair amount of homers hit. I will dial back into baseball a little more beginning of September when that playoff push is really hitting, when players are called up from the minors. That's when you really get to see what's going on. Now, football. Upcoming. We on the way, baby. We're about to enter week 2 into the preseason, NFL preseason. We know that what that means is 2 weeks from now, we're going to have some college football. And college football is going to look real, real different. Now we know what this playoff system is. Now we know how that works. Of course, there's going to be kinks. But now losing a game early doesn't necessarily kill you because it's about how the rest of the year goes. So I'm really looking forward to college football. Like I said, I'm in SEC country now, so it's going to be real cool to me. But the NFL is always going to hold my head heavy. You see it right here. Property of the 49ers. That's my team. For anybody that is new to the show, anybody that's listening for the first time, I'm an absolute 49er fan, but I'm also absolutely unbiased about the Niners. When they're good, I say they're good. When they're terrible, I say they're terrible. You won't hear me say that they're great until they're hoisting the Lombard. Unless they're doing that, they're not great. I hope people understand that. You're not a great team if you don't win at all. You can be a great player and not win at all, but you're not a great team. I don't want to hear about you as a team if you haven't won it all, except for the Buffalo Bills. Going to Super Bowl 4 years in a row, props. I give you props with that. But talk about the NFL. I'll lead it off with the Niners. I have no idea what's going to happen with the Niners. We did some moving around, especially do some things with our salary cap. Debo's down in Washington. Just things got a little different than I think a lot of us expected as fans going into this year. But the team has still a nucleus that's relatively young. You still got Brock Purdy. You still got McCaffrey, hoping he's coming back off that injury. One never knows. But we've stocked the team with a lot of young players, brought back Robert Saleh. This should be a pretty good team. Also has the quote unquote easiest record in the NFL, whatever that means. Should be a good team, but should be doesn't win you Super Bowls. Should be doesn't win you games. I'm not gonna call out teams that are always yearly should beers, but let's see what the Niners are gonna do. But for me, outside looking in, I can't count the Chiefs out until they count themselves out. So I'm gonna say just early projection in the AFC, probably Chiefs, Bills again. In the NFC's tough. If I'm gonna be completely honest, NFC, I'm probably gonna go Washington, Detroit in the NFC Championship, and then we'll see what happens from there. But this, I believe, is going to be a really fun year to watch. I believe it's going to be very, very competitive. You do have those top level teams. You do have your Chiefs, your Bills, your Ravens in the AFC, right? You have those teams, but chasing them, you're gonna have the Chargers, you're gonna have the Broncos in the AFC West. They're chasing you down. Nothing else to it. They're on your ass. They're on the way, right? I believe the Bills are just they're gonna take care of the AFC East, no problem. Now the AFC North is always gonna get a little funky. I'm going to sit here and say that I believe that the Ravens are the best team. There's nothing that tells me that they're not the best team in that league. But if Cincinnati can get some defense together, we know the offense that Burrow and the boys can put up. They could win that division. Now you have Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. I do know that towards the end of last year, Aaron Rodgers actually was looking like Aaron Rodgers. You're in Pittsburgh now, so that's not really your feng shui. You don't need to sling that ball as much. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. So for me, there's three teams that can win that division. AFC South, who knows? You look on the NFC, there's some areas where it's wide open also. You talk about the NFC West. As a Niner fan, I think that the Niners could win that division, sure. But if I'm gonna be 100% real, I think the Rams are the best team in that division right now. The Rams picking up Devontae Adams. You know what they have offensively, coach and quarterback. They're really good, and defense just has to be good. Defense doesn't have to be great because that offense, you got two top line receivers. You have a ridiculous running back. You have Matt Stafford at quarterback. As long as Stafford's healthy, they'll be just fine. When you look at the AFC East, a little more wide open. I mean, you got the Eagles, you got the Commanders. I might have called them the Redskins. My bad. You got the Eagles, you got the Commanders, you got the Cowboys, who will always make life interesting. They just will. Cowboys will put up points, but they'll lose games. They're going to get you real close, and then they're going to fall off the side of the road. So that's one division that's just open, just like the NFC North. I think the Lions win that division, but you got the Vikings, you got the Packers. Now, the NFC South, to me, wide open doesn't really matter as much, but it's going to be, I think, a very competitive division. I don't know what the Falcons are going to be because I don't know what Penix is going to be yet. And anyone that says that Penix is going to be this great quarterback, let's see. Let's let the year roll out. Do I think he can be? Sure. But do I think that that's going to take a little time? Also, sure. Meanwhile, we know what Baker Mayfield and the Bucks have. They have one of those teams that if you leave them alone, they're just going to win the division every year, right? That's just what they're going to be, what they're going to have. So this is going to be a hell of a season to check out. Really looking forward to it. I gotta get on these Hard Knocks. I haven't watched any of the Hard Knocks yet for this season. Want to check out the Bills, what they got going on. Definitely want to look into some of these preseason games. Got to see the first game with Shador Sanders. That was real cool to watch. Two things that I took from that. One, he's fine. He'll make a decent NFL quarterback. I don't know if he's good, great, bad, whatever. He's fine. He was able to read coverage. He's able to make proper uh, proper adjustment. He's able to do some things to win. The other thing I take from this is the NFL is wide. Is wide. There's no reason that he should have dropped as far as he dropped. I did hear something interesting today regarding his contract and maybe the actual reason why he fell. I'll have to look into that before I talk about it. But if what I heard today is true, then cheers to Shador and then the NFL did what they were supposed to do. Get it. But I believe Shador is going to be all right. He's going to make a fine NFL quarterback with the Browns or not with the Browns. He'll be just fine. Be just fine. Mark down that I said that. But that being said, like the season's on the way, right around the corner. Cannot wait. And when the season comes, we're gonna do this more often. We have to do this more often. So when the season jumps off Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we'll talk sports. I may pop up some other areas, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday is when I'm dropping, is when we're going to talk. Please comment as much as you can. I'll be available on all platforms. Engage with me and I'll engage with you. But with all that, welcome back, y'all. Emphasis on sports. We're ready to go. This is season 3. Ready to have some fun. Until next time, y'all, I will holler.